In today's video, we're going to compare the Axial SCX30 with the Redcat Racing Ascent 32. I've already reviewed the SCX30. If you want to see that video, I'll post a card now, but I really liked it. I said that this is probably going to be the coolest RC product that I review this year, and I'm standing by that. However, Redcat hasn't made an Ascent yet that I didn't like. Every single Ascent series truck has been super good in my opinion, so I'm not going to sleep on the Ascent 32 just because I really like the SCX30. I definitely want to check this one out still. Now, there are a lot of similarities between these two. They're definitely competing in the same space and they're definitely competing for the same buyer, but there are a lot of pretty big differences as well. This isn't going to be like an apples to apples comparison, really. It's going to be kind of like comparing an SCX24 with an Ascent 18, except for we're both scaled down. Now, from an appearance perspective, the SCX30 is a very clear winner. This nice hard plastic molded body is super scale. It's got headlights and taillights, rear tire delete plate available. It's just really, really, really good. The Ascent 32 just comes with this ultra light plastic shell that is in the form of a truck. If you've ever seen any of the Ascent series, you've certainly seen this body. There's nothing wrong with it. The fact that it's light is kind of a performance bonus, honestly. There's less top heaviness going on here because the Lexan is light. With the bodies off, we can compare things with a little bit of a performance mindset here. So the SCX30 is an all-new chassis design, which is really, really good, actually. All the weight's forward on this thing. And if you look under here, one of my favorite parts is it's got these high clearance links, the axle's tucked, and it's very much so meant to be able to get up and over things pretty easily once you get to the halfway point. These little ramps on the axles front and rear are pretty freaking cool. But yeah, it's a really good design. I like it a lot. The Ascent 32 is essentially a scaled down Ascent 18. Like, it's almost exactly the same. The body click lock is the same. Your electronics are sitting in what would be the battery tray on the Ascent 18. And I mean, it's very much like that, which isn't bad. It's fine that it's just a scaled down Ascent 18. The Ascent 18 was a good chassis. Now, while we're here, there are a couple of cons that I want to bring up on the Ascent 32. So the suspension, while having a lot of travel, which is a good thing, is cool. The springs are way too stiff and there's no damping. So it's going to be a really springy event going around, and I don't think that there's any performance gain to be had from this suspension. Kind of wish it was a little better. And the second big con is actually centered around the electronics. So they both have like a 2-in-1 ESC radio system going on. But on the Ascent 32, you are limited to a 1S battery and you cannot use a 2S battery with this. So you're going to be limited to that 1S power, and you have a 5-wire servo here. So it's going to be kind of weird when you do want to upgrade to something else. If you wanted to go brushless, or if you just simply wanted to be able to run 2S batteries, you're not going to be able to do that with this very easily. And I've seen plenty of RC cars run on 1S batteries and deliver pretty good performance, and the Ascent 18 is only $79.99. So with that being said, like, let's see how it does before we really grill it for the electronics package. I just think though that it is going to be limiting and it's going to be frustrating for some people. I tried to edit this in a way where you can see both trucks do similar lines or the same line. Unfortunately, I'm not running them both on the same day because the day I took the Ascent 32 out, I forgot my SCX30 batteries at home. Luckily, I had plenty of footage left from the review for the SCX30, so I just used that, and I run a lot of the same lines when testing these things, so it'll be a good back and forth so that way you guys can sort of compare. But one thing I think you'll notice initially is just how much faster I kind of go through everything with the Ascent 32, and the main reason for that is just because it's kind of hard to modulate that throttle, whereas on the SCX30, like, we go very slow through things, not only because I'm able to do that, but because the SCX30 is geared very slowly, so it's just kind of takes its time getting through stuff. One thing I want to point out is this side hill section here. The Ascent 32 does this very well, very easily. The SCX30, it does clear it through here, but we have to go slow here. Like, it definitely took 2 or 3 tries to get this right. Prior to filming this video, I ran the Ascent 32 indoors on my table and sort of on like some of the obstacles that I had been running the SCX30 on. And at first, I kind of had my reservations about it because without the low speed modulation and like the tighter turning and stuff that you get from the SCX30, it just wasn't really as fun in the same scenario. But I'm really glad I took it outside, because outside it does a lot better, and I actually wound up having a lot more fun than I did when it was inside. So in these next couple of scenes, I'm going to highlight some of the bigger strengths for the Ascent 32. As you can see, it's a little bit faster, which makes it trailable. Like, I'm not walking too slow here. It's definitely trailable. And then in this scene, I'm kind of trying to illustrate what it's like if you're just kind of playing around with it on some rocks. So if you think you're gonna just spend a little bit of time bashing around on rocks or just like literally just playing around in an area, I think the Ascent 32 could be a lot more fun for you than the SCX30, just because it's got that speed. One thing I really enjoy at this scale, so both of these really apply to this, but when you're running the same areas, you can find so many new lines and like new ways to do things. So it's pretty fun. It's a nice way to kind of spruce up like a tired old spot. All right, so I've spent a pretty good bit of time with both of these, and it's time to kind of compare and contrast them. I know which one is the winner for me, but there are some use case scenarios where you might like one more than the other, and we'll kind of go over that here. So if your primary goal is to run indoors and on like indoor courses, on tabletops and things like that, the SCX30 is definitely going to be the way to go. It's smaller, it has a tighter turning radius, and it's got way better low speed modulation. So in a tight spot, it's just going to be way, way more fun. That's not to say that you can't run the Ascent 32 indoors. It's just bigger, it has a wider turning radius and very bad low speed modulation. So it's just not going to be good for precise small area kind of things in comparison to the SCX30. For outdoors, I actually had a pretty good time with both of these. I filmed the whole SCX30 review outside and it was a really, really good time. But there are some scenarios where I think the Ascent 32 has a little bit of an edge. Because of its size and overall width, the Ascent 32 is just going to handle some surprise bigger objects a lot better, like some sheer cliffs and stuff like that. You have a chance at getting up and over with the Ascent 32 where you might just run into it with the SCX30. It side hills really well because it's wide and super light on top thanks to the Lexan body. And it's a little bit faster, which means that walking at an acceptable pace, you can trail this a little bit, so that's actually kind of fun. And also outside, that low speed modulation doesn't hurt as bad as it does indoors in a super tight space. Now, as far as like builds go and aftermarket support and things like that, I think they're both gonna have pretty good support, and I think there's gonna be a lot of cool builds on both platforms. The SCX30, I'm imagining, is gonna wind up sort of like the SCX24. It'll be mostly crawlers, lots of comp builds, lots of super scale builds, just a bunch of fun, cool stuff like that. And with the Ascent 18, I also think we'll see plenty of scale builds, plenty of comp crawlers, but I do think that the way this is designed, it lends itself to some potentially funky builds, like maybe like a monster truck or something, especially with all this suspension travel. Like truly, I think a monster truck would be sweet. Somebody do it. Now, comparing these two kits in terms of overall quality, I'm definitely going to have to give the SCX30 the win here, and it's not even by like a small margin. The SCX30 is way better designed, way better thought out, and I have absolutely no gripes with it. I think it's really, really good. So for the Ascent 32, I have two gripes that make it more of an okay kit quality versus like really great. The first gripe is my smallest gripe. It's just the shocks. Honestly, they're just not good enough to have like useful suspension, so you kind of need to upgrade them if you want useful suspension. So my second gripe is with the electronics, and I think that is actually kind of a big deal. So you have really bad low speed modulation on the Ascent 32. People who want to crawl this thing are going to want to upgrade like the ESC and stuff to get that better. And it's going to be a lot harder to upgrade this because of some somewhat funky decisions on Redcat's part. The 5-wire servo is weird. I don't know why anybody would ever use that on a hobby grade RC car. And the 1S battery is also weird because most people are just going to fly to upgrading this thing and they're just not going to use that battery ever. Like that 1S battery is very useless in the grand scheme of things. And for an RC car that comes out with upgrades from Endura, like it's literally made for the upgraders, for the people who want to do that, it's just weird to not have an upgradable ESC without having to change everything else. So yeah, I don't really like the electronics and how much they limit you. It's just sort of like the worst part of the Ascent 32. If you're a big upgrader or you want to build like a custom build, it may not be such a big deal for you, but like out of the box, those electronics really hurt this thing. So if you were to ask me which of the two of these you should get if you were looking for a mini rock crawler, I would definitely tell you to go for the SCX30. I just think that Axial did a much better job with their kit, and I think that the SCX30 fits the bill of mini rock crawler a lot better than the Ascent 32 does. That's not to say that the Ascent 32 is without merit or that it's bad. As a matter of fact, it does perform better in certain situations, and if you were looking for more of an all-arounder, honestly, I probably would tell you to go for the Ascent 32 because you could actually kind of trail this thing if you wanted. So it's not without merit. I do just think that the SCX30 is the better of the two and that's just kind of how it is. Editing bash here. I just wanted to jump in really quick and say that I've been looking at this from the viewpoint of like an adult hobbyist, somebody that's looking for something crawler focused. If you're looking for your kids, honestly, I think the Ascent 32 would be a much better bet because the extra speed makes it a little bit more exciting. And the 1S battery, since you don't have to like balance it or anything, it could be a little bit safer. Just wanted to chuck that in really quick now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, whichever one you get, whichever one you have, I hope you like it. I hope you have fun with your build. And if you like this video, give me a like. If you like this type of content, you should subscribe. I try to make videos like this every week, and it's always a good time around here. Anyway, with that being said, that's a video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.